ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूथमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि। कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलम्। आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम्। दक्षिणे लक्ष्मणो यस्य वामे च जनकात्मजा पुरतो मारुतिर्यस्य तं वन्दे रघुनन्दनम्। So where we left off, first of all, I'm very grateful that all of you joined while there is yatra going on. So although yatra is not technically started, but there are still lovely lectures on the Ramayana going on, and still you chose to be here. So I'm very grateful to you. Kumbhakarna had dragged Sugriva under his armpit, and while he was being dragged on the ground, the other Rakshasas surrounding Kumbhakarna were pounding and hurting Sugriva, and Sugriva realized, came out of his unconscious state and suddenly bounced like a ball. Um, Valmiki tells us bounced like a ball and came back immediately to be with Sri Ramachandra. Jagama kham kandukadvanena kandukavajvena punasramena samajagama. Kham in the air, kanduka like kandukavat javena. Javena we hear force, manojavam, one who has the force or the speed like a mind. Here kandukavat javena, like a ball that bounces. The harder you bounce it on the ground, the faster it goes back up. Like that he bounced, and punascha ramena samajagama. Sama ajagama, very happily, pleasingly came back to be with Sri Ramachandra. Now, Kumbhakarna, because he thought he brought the king Sugriva back with him into Lanka, and when Sugriva escaped from his clutches, naturally Kumbhakarna becomes very angry. Is in English we call it indignation. It is so much anger that he starts vomiting blood. And Valmiki says he looked like, uh, in Hindi we call it kajal, this black thing that's put in the eyes, kajal, with a reddish tinge, because he's vomiting blood in his severely black body. There is blood that looks reddish, like an evening cloud, is what he says. So when the sun is setting, if there is a dark cloud in the sky, the setting sun diffuses a reddish hue upon that cloud. Amarshat Shonitod Shonitodgari Shushubhe
Like exactly the people do that. I
Ravananujaha
think the first time है ना?
Charyaprat.
तर सॉन्गच्या टाइमला फ्रेंड जायचे तो पिक्चरला खूप फास्ट वगैरे आणि मग ते चालत चालत लगती येतो.
All right, I'm hearing Marathi in the background, but that's okay. Okay. Vomiting blood, it looked like an evening cloud. Now, when Sugriva went away, Kumbhakarna turned around and in an anger rush went back or was going back to where the fight was happening. And we've noticed that in our lives, if we are in anger and we are going to some other activity, our anger makes us forget certain things. Like, for example, if someone is leaving to the market and they're angry, it's possible they may forget the car key, they may forget a bag they want to take, or certain thing they want to return, they may forget. Or you're going to the office, you may forget your laptop or bag or wallet, something, because the anger is such that Krishna says, from anger, uh, one loses memory. So here Kumbhakarna, with such anger, Krodhat Padudrava Ranaya Bhuyaha. Again he went back towards the battlefield. Anayudho Asmi iti vichintya Raudro. In his anger, he had forgotten to carry any weapon. And suddenly he realized and picked up a mallet. Mallet is like a hammer. He got that and started walking back into the fighting arena. Now, the thing is, because he's gone back with this anger, he has doubled his strength, or his wanting to harm, crush, kill, maim all the monkeys. It has grown so interestingly strong that with a force he penetrated right into the Vanara army. And Kumbhakarna, by this time, because of all the fighting, is also hungry. He just started to pick up monkeys and eat them up. Hmm? And he was so much in anger, and his ability to distinguish that this is a monkey, this is a Rakshasa went away. He was just grabbing anybody that he could get and was eating them up, including his own army Rakshasas. So he was grabbing whatever came into his hand, that included Rakshasas, the Vanaras, the bears, anyone else. Hmm? And he was just eating them up. And with such intensity, as if at the time of destruction, how everyone is destroyed, the monkey army was being destroyed. And at each time he would grab, sometimes because the monkeys move fast, sometimes he could grab with one hand one, two, three, or even more than three monkeys, and very hastily gorge, thrust them into his mouth. And as he was biting on them, the fat and the blood was dripping from the corners of his mouth. So as he's devouring these monkeys, he's looking for Sri Rama, because that's where he has figured out that I have to kill Sri Rama. And these monkeys are also running after taking shelter of Sri Ramachandra. And each time he would grab the monkeys like this, in the fold of his hands, each time, sometimes seven, sometimes eight, sometimes 20, 30, sometimes hundreds at a time. And he would just gorge them and eat them. And all of their limbs were, I mean, his own body was, have you seen anyone eating clumsily? uh, the tomato sauce falls on the shirt, or crumbs of the samosa will fall on their body, or if they're eating something, some food will always drip on them because they are eating clumsily. So Kumbhakarna was eating clumsily like this, and their intestines and all that was hanging around his ears. At this point, Lakshmana, Tasmin Kale Sumitrayaha Putraha, that is Lakshmana's son, Chakara Lakshmana Kruddho Yuddham Para Puranjaya. Lakshmana became very angry. He said, what is this kind of Rakshasa that is causing so much havoc for all these wanderers who are just trying to uh, work or perform service for Sri Ramachandra? And in this anger, Lakshmana very quickly, one after the other, perhaps even together, put 7 arrows into Kumbhakarna. And the next took up even more arrows and started piercing Kumbhakarna like anything. But as Lakshmana, of course, Lakshmana is such a mighty warrior. As these arrows are hitting Kumbhakarna, Kumbhakarna, with his own weapons, cut off, intercepted Lakshmana's arrows. Then Lakshmana picked up golden arrows that were shining and glittering and hit Kumbhakarna with such strong that Kumbhakarna's golden armor that he was wearing uh, got shattered. But it didn't matter. Kumbhakarna was becoming angrier and angrier, and he was moving forward with great force. Then Kumbhakarna, who in a voice that rumbles or thunders like a dark cloud, he spoke to Lakshmana in a very disrespectful manner. Megha augha ghanihi swanaha, rumbling like a cloud. Vakyam provacha, prauvacha, spoke in a very strong manner. Sa avagyam eva, avagyam in a disrespectful way or dismissive way. I said, Lakshmana, mm, you've surely shown that you are a mighty warrior and you fought well. And your fighting is worthy of honor, especially if someone feels that they have the guts to stand in front of me with a weapon in their hand. What to speak? That I consider them great enough, courageous enough to stand in front of me. Because do you know that Indra, when he mounted his Airavata elephant, surrounded by all the Devatas, even when I was there on the battlefield, when he came, he saw me, he could not fight with me. He could not fight, he could not stand, he went away. So I am very gratified by your spirit of wanting to fight with me. But it is not you that I want to fight. I want to meet your brother, Sri Rama. I want to meet that Raghava. So I'm not going to fight with you. Because in this one may say is glorifying Lakshmana. Actually, he is insulting Lakshmana by not insulting, is dismissive that you are a bacha. I mean, you have some courage to stand in front of me. I agree, I accept that. But you are not of my interest. I won't get anything out of killing you. My interest is in killing Sri Ramachandra. Adya tvayaham saumitre balenapi parakramahi toshito gantum ichhami tvam anugyapya raghavam. So I don't want to fight with you because you are young. Balena api. You're like a child in front of me. Toshito. I'm happy that you even had the courage to stand here, but I'm going now because I want to fight Sri Ramachandra. Because my interest is to kill Sri Rama, and when I kill Sri Rama, this entire Vanara army, Sugriva, Hanuman, Jambavan, Gavaksha, whoever they are, the big ones, small ones, great ones, all of them will go away. And when I will finish Ramachandra, The only people who will remain on the battlefield is me and my army of Rakshasas. When Kumbhakarna spoke so boastfully, Lakshmana spoke as if he is laughing at Kumbhakarna. इत्युक्त्या वाक्यं तद् रक्षः प्रोवाच स्तुतिसंहितं, because he appreciated Lakshmana. मृधे घोरतरं वाक्यं सौमित्रिः प्रहसन् इव. We hear this word prahasan iva when Arjuna says certain things. Krishna laughs sarcastically at Arjuna and he says, Ashochan Nanvashochastam Pragyavadamscha Bhashase. You are standing here and talking like a very intelligent fellow. Gatasum Nagatasum Nanu Shochanti Pandita. You're thinking like you're speaking like a Pandit, but that is not how Panditas speak. So there's sarcasm, laughing. So Prahasan Iva, in sarcastic, laughing heartily, uh, Lakshmana said, it is true that the Devatas headed by Indra were scared of you, or they felt that your strength is irresistible. But actually, it is nothing like that. I've seen how you are and how much strength you are. But you want to fight with Sri Ramachandra, then Sri Ramachandra is right here. Huh? Not far from here, standing here, immovable like a mountain. इति श्रुत्वा ह्यानुधृत्य लक्ष्मणस्य निशाचरः अतिक्रम्य च सौमित्रिं कुम्भकर्णो महाबल रामम् एवाभीत् दुद्राव Kampayan iva medinim. So when he said Rama is standing right here, Kumbhakarna turned and Abhidudrava moved towards Sri Ramachandra, and he moved with such impetuosity, that strength and thumping of the ground. Valmiki says Kampayan iva medinim, as if he was shaking the earth. अथ दाशरथी रामो रौद्रमस्त्रं प्रयोजयम् कुंभकर्णस्य हृदये ससर्ज निशितान् शरान्. So Ramachandra picked up the mystic weapon or the astra called Raudra Astra, or Astra blessed by, presided over by Rudra, because he's the god of destruction. So Raudram Astram Prayojayan, he used it. Atha Dasarathi Ramo. What did he do? Kumbhakarnasya Hridaye Sasarja. That arrow went right into the heart of Kumbhakarna. And while he's being pierced, he's so strong and mighty that although the arrow has pierced him in the heart, Kumbhakarna is rushing towards Sri Ramachandra. But from his mouth, flames came out with sparks or embers of fire. When he became so angry that how dare Sri Ramachandra pierce my heart with an arrow, he started rushing towards Rama and roaring so loudly that he was dispersing all the monkeys in between, because that's not his interest. His interest is to go and crush Sri Ramachandra, perhaps eat him up, whatever his thing about killing Sri Ramachandra. At this time, Sri Ramachandra that started shooting arrows at Kumbhakarna, and the arrows at the back had peacock feathers, peacock plumes on it. Sometimes different arrows have different feathers in the back to give it certain speed and direction. Otherwise, the arrow will wobble as it is moving through uh, the air with the speed that is being released with. If you don't have, like a plane has a back tail, it gives it direction and keeps it going. Otherwise, the wind will move the plane. The wings here give it elevation and depression. The tail in the back gives it direction. So these feathers in the arrows that Ramachandra was shooting had peacock plumes, and it's that the visual is the arrow when it was shot, the peacock plume feathers in the back disappeared into his heart, which means the arrows went through Kumbhakarna. Can you imagine Kumbhakarna being so strong, mighty? I was just I was sent a video of what happens when a bullet enters a person. It's a small projectile. It moves with such speed that its momentum is very, very high. Although mass is small, velocity is very high. It moves right through the skin, the visceral layer of fat, and moves right into the organs. But as it is moving through, it loses its velocity. So it sometimes gets embedded in the body. Sometimes it goes through. But Kumbhakarna's body is very strong and mighty and a lot of muscle and fat. But you can imagine, so this is an idea to get how strong Ramachandra is when he pulls the arrow and releases it, that it went through Kumbhakarna's body as described that the peacock plumes disappeared into his chest. Tasya urasi nimagnoste शरा बर्हिण वाससः बर्हिण peacock plumes हस्ताच्चास्त परिभ्रष्टः गदाचोर गदाचोर्व्याम papat ha. So the arrow went with such speed and power that the weapon Kumbhakarna was carrying fell to the ground. Now this has never happened. Therefore, Valmiki says, ha. You can imagine what strength of that Rama Bana, how powerful that must be. All of Kumbhakarna's weapons were all scattered on the ground. And then when Kumbhakarna realized that he has no weapons in his hand, what he decided to do is create so much havoc. So there is no strategy anymore. The only strategy is just you create as much destruction as possible. So with his hands, fists, he started punching and crushing all the Vanaras. He's bleeding because there are arrows that have been poked into his body by Sri Ramachandra. But while he is bleeding, he is completely smashing all the Vanaras. He is overcome with so much violent anger uh, that Kumbhakarna ran here and there on the battlefield and didn't care who he was killing. As long as he was killing, that's all he wanted. So he was killing the monkeys and bears for sure. He was killing his own Rakshasas because he's so blinded by anger. Right? This is what we hear. ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसां सङ्गस्तेषु उपजायते सङ्गात् सञ्जायते कामः कामात् क्रोधो विजायते क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रम स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशः बुद्धिनाशः you can't distinguish these are my people, these are not my people. Although everyone is, I'm talking from Kumbhakarna's perspective, he didn't care. He just wanted to crush, destroy, maim, kill. He was killing his own army, Rakshasas as well. So what he did is picked up a mountain peak because he didn't have any weapons. He plucked a mountain peak and threw it at Sri Ramachandra. Now Ramachandra is the famous Kodandapani. Ramachandra picked up his bow in his hand that he had, and with his arrow split that entire mountain peak even before it reached him. And Ramachandra, in quick succession, shot 7 arrows to completely destroy that mountain peak. Then Sri Ramachandra, uh, as he was shooting those arrows, then mounted a golden arrow again and this time completely split the entire mountain peak. Not only stopped it or slowed it down, but split it up completely. And Valmiki says that that mountain peak looked like Mount Meru because it was shining. And when it came down, unfortunately, it fell because it has to fall somewhere. The mountain that was split fell, and 200 monkeys were knocked down by it. Now, Lakshmana, who was looking at all of this, said to Sri Ramachandra, "Look at this fellow. His whole body has the odor of blood on him, and he is not able to distinguish between Vanaras, Rakshasas, and he's just indiscriminately killing friends and foes." So maybe if you order, we can have all the mighty monkeys grow in size and climb on Kumbhakarna to slow him down. And when they are on him with that weight, Kumbhakarna will pause because he's just indiscriminately killing. Hmm? And so he will not be able to kill the Vanara Sena because of the weight of all these mighty people on him, mighty Vanaras. Huh? So then the idea was great idea. Tasya tad vachanam shrutva rajaputrasya dhimatah te samaruruhu hrashtaha kumbhakarnam mahabalaha. With great joy, these mighty vanaras climbed with great joy onto Kumbhakarna. Now, when they are climbing on Kumbhakarna, obviously he didn't want, so he shook himself with great disdain to shrug them off, but they could not. Some were completely shaken off and fallen on the ground. Then Ramachandra understood that this fellow is very angry. So Ramachandra now rushed towards Kumbhakarna with his mighty bow in his hand. Ramachandra's uh, eyes red with anger. So Ramachandra, running towards Kumbhakarna, was shooting in arrows. As he picked up another arrow that resembled a snake. So this is some sort of sarpa, Nagastra, I guess. And when Nagastra was covered with nice gold and it was shot onto Kumbhakarna, the monkeys all felt more confident. And with that confidence, they all followed and went towards Kumbhakarna with Sri Ramachandra. Ramachandra with his quiver full of arrows, which means ready to fight Kumbhakarna. They went, and Kumbhakarna got surrounded by all of these monkeys, Vanaras around him. And Lakshmana was right behind Sri Ramachandra. Ramachandra saw this mighty Kumbhakarna standing in front of him. His eyes red with fury, body bathed in blood, and surrounded himself with Rakshasas. And the Rakshasas were all full of rage, ready for hunting and eating up monkeys, just like a furious elephant. That is one of the Dikpalaka elephants, those giant elephants that are carrying the Bhumandala on them. They are very strong. Kumbhakarna looked like the Vindhya mountain or the Mandara mountain, shining in gold with all of his armor and other jewelry that he was standing. And while he is waiting, he's licking the corners of his mouth because there is blood on it. And it's an indication that I am hungry. I want to eat up the monkeys like anything. Ramachandra mounted an arrow, pulled the bowstring, and by the twang, not an arrow, you just pull the bowstring. It's called ja. Ja, Jya. Ja is the string of the bow, and by the pulling of it, it makes a sound, a twang. And the twang of Ramachandra's bow is such that it causes fear in the heart of his enemies. Just like in Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna and Arjuna blew their conch shells, everyone's hearts were shattered out of fear. Like that, the twanging of his bowstring. When Ramachandra's bowstring was twanged, Kumbhakarna could not hear that sound. It was unbearably fearsome. Valmiki describes Ramachandra's arms are like a shining snake, like Vasuki. Ramachandra spoke to Kumbhakarna at this time, challenging him. Oh, Kumbhakarna, don't stand there hesitating. Come, fight with me. I'm standing here with my bow in my hand, firmly holding it. And you should know that I will kill the entire Rakshasa race. In a very short while, you will be deprived of your life, which means I'm going to kill you. Kumbhakarna realized that someone who's challenging him like this and he looks like Lakshmana, just a different color of the body. Kumbhakarna started laughing loudly. How dare you? And rushed towards Sri Ramachandra, scattering and crushing monkeys along the way. And with his hearty laugh, he sounded like a cloud that is rumbling in the sky. Hmm. And the hearts of the monkeys were also shattered with fear. And Kumbhakarna said, don't think me to be someone weak like Viradha, Kabandha, Khara, or even Vali or Maricha. They are very, very weak compared to me. Now we know how strong Vali was, right? Vali also put Ravana in his armpit and went around the world dipping himself in all the oceans and rivers. Kumbhakarna says Vali is nothing. Don't think that I am Viradha, powerful demon, Kabandha, even more powerful. So Kumbhakarna is saying, I know who all you have killed. Maricha, Vali, Khara, Kabandha, Viradha, they are nothing. I am Kumbhakarna. Hmm. Look, I will pick up my mighty Gada, and it is made of cast iron. When I hit this on the Devatas, they were all crushed and dead. Hmm. So, just because my nose has been cut off, my ears have been cut off. So, we didn't hear about it, but that's what it means that his nose and ears have been cut out. I don't have the least amount of pain. Any one of us who knows, not, I don't think any of us nose got cut off, but any hurt on the nose and ear is very painful. And he says, I am not at all in pain. You say you are the tiger among the Ikshvakus. Show me your strength. Show me your manliness, your power. Oh, warrior Rama, let's fight. Hearing Kumbhakarna boasting about his strength, Ramachandra shot arrows at him. These arrows went at the speed of lightning. So we only have to visualize. From the sky, a flash of lightning comes down so many miles in a flash of a second. Now, even after being hit, Kumbhakarna neither felt any disturbance or agony. Na chukshubhe, na vyathate surari. The demon who's the enemy of the Sura, the Devatas, didn't feel any disturbance nor anything. Like, ah. Now, which arrows were these? So Valmiki gives us a comparison. Yeihi sayakaihi salvara nikruttaha vali hato vanara pungavascha. Valmiki is taking us back into Kishkindha Kanda. When Sugriva said, oh, Ramachandra, you have no idea of how strong Vali is. He can hold a sal tree and shake it, and all the leaves will fall. Now, leaves will fall if the leaves are dry. This is the fall season. The leaves are going to become dry and fall off. But green leaves on a tree hold very strongly. But Vali could shake the tree and drop every leaf of a sal tree. A sal is a very strong wood. So Ramachandra had shot an arrow that pierced 7 sal trees. And this Vali was killed with one arrow. Just one arrow was enough to kill Vali. So hopefully we get the comparison of strength. And that same arrow, when it pierced Kumbhakarna, nothing happened to him. It did not cause much pain or distress. He was as if drinking these arrows with his body, just as a mountain would drink up the rain that is falling on its peak. That's the example given by, or the analogy given by Valmiki Rishi. Nothing, nothing was happening to Kumbhakarna as Ramachandra is shooting these arrows. Kumbhakarna picked up his gada that was smeared with blood and flesh and marrow, started scattering the entire army of Vanaras around him. Then Ramachandra picked up a mystical missile called Vayavastra. It is empowered by Vayu. Vayavyam Adaya, Vayam Adaya, taking Tato 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 Parastra, Aparastra, another arrow called Vayavastra, Rama Prachikshepa Nishacharaya, released it towards Kumbhakarna. Because he was holding this gada and crushing all the monkeys, this Vayava Astra went right into his right arm and cut it off. And Kumbhakarna let out a loud cry in the battlefield, so loud that it could shatter eardrums, I guess, with his right hand cut off. But Kumbhakarna, who himself looked like a mountain peak, uh, what fell on them? Hmm. That right arm of Kumbhakarna, when was pierced by Ramachandra's arrow, got cut off from his body and fell on the monkey army of Sugriva and killed an entire regiment of monkeys under that arm. They got crushed because they're all standing right there. So that's the damage, collateral damage that's happening while Kumbhakarna is being killed. So the monkeys, the rest of them somehow stood around that big mighty arm that had fallen on the ground. Some got squeezed, crushed under that arm, and the others are witnessing this fight between Sri Ramachandra and Kumbhakarna. They've never seen something so fascinating. Then, with his left hand, Kumbhakarna plucked off a mountain, the mountain peak, and tore off a palmyra tree, which is also these strong trees, with his other arm, and rushed towards Sri Ramachandra to crush him with that mountain peak. Ramachandra picked another arrow. It is decked with gold and invoked the Aindra mantra. It's called the Aindra Astra. Invoked the mantra of Indra on it. And shot that arrow on Kumbhakarna. And this time, Ramachandra cut off Kumbhakarna's left hand. And when the left hand fell, trees, small hills, rocks, monkeys, rakshasas, everybody got crushed under it because this time it is not only the arm, but there's also a mountain peak and tree that he's there. So everything fell and a bunch of army got crushed. Now with both his hands cut off, roaring loudly, violently, rushing towards Sri Ramachandra, Ramachandra picked two very sharp crescent arrows. In the front is like the crescent of the moon. And as he's running towards Sri Ramachandra, Ramachandra shot the arrows on Kumbhakarna's feet and cut off his feet. Tau tasya padau pradisho dishascha गिरेर् गुहायश्चैव महार्णवं च लङ्का च सेनां कपिराक्षसानां विनादयन्तो विनिपेततुश्च. So when when Kumbhakarna's feet were cut off, the sound uh, that it made, that the four corners of the entire place, the caves of the Trikuta mountain, and the roar of the monkeys and Rakshasas completely resounded and fell with a thud. Kumbhakarna opened his mouth and was roaring because his feet was cut off, his hands were cut off, and yet he's moving towards Sri Ramachandra with such savage mentality, as if the Rahu is moving towards the full moon in the sky. That means Kumbhakarna is coming to grab Ramachandra with his mouth. Rahur yatha chandram ivantarikshe. In the sky, how Rahu comes to cover the full moon. And as Kumbhakarna is moving towards Sri Ramachandra with his mouth wide open, his mouth must be like a big cave. Ramachandra shot very sharp arrows. They were all golden encrusted into Kumbhakarna's mouth and packed Kumbhakarna's mouth with arrows. So Kumbhakarna could not speak or even make a moaning noise anymore because his mouth is full of arrows. Now Ramachandra took a very sharp arrow with charming feathers, effulgent like a sunbeam. It resembled the rod of Brahma. It's called Brahmadanda. And released that arrow on Kumbhakarna. Tam Vajra Jambu Nada Charu Punkam. The poetry is nice. Tam Vajra Jambu Nada Charu Punkam. Jambu Nada means golden encrusted. Charu Punkam. It had very pleasing, beautiful feathers in the back. Pradipta Surya Jwalana Prakasham, and the arrow shining, dazzling like sunshine. Mahendra Vajrashani, Mahendra Vajrashani, Vajra Ashani Tulya Vegam. There is the weapon in Indra's hand, the thunderbolt or lightning is called Ashani. Mahendra Vajra Shanitulya Vegam, and moved at the speed of Indra's Vajra. Rama Prachikshepa Nishacharaya. Rama released this arrow on Kumbhakarna. That arrow illuminated the entire 10 directions and moved with such speed, and it looked like a smokeless fire. And that speed with which it went and hit Kumbhakarna. As soon as that arrow hit Kumbhakarna, immediately that head of Kumbhakarna was cut off. That head would look like a big, mighty mountain peak with beautiful teeth in his mouth, completely got severed from the head, just like Indra had cut off Vritrasura's head. So because this is a mighty event, the poetry is fantastic. स तन् महापर्वतकूटसन्निभं सुवृत्तदंष्ट्रं Chalacharu We are hearing the beauty of Kumbhakarna's head, if you will. I mean, beauty is in a negative way, that he's very gory looking. But Valmiki is showing us, even in that, the or extracting beauty even from such a gory event. Sir, Tan Mahaparvata Kuta Sannibham. He looked like a big, his head looked like a mighty mountain. uh, and his mouth that contained the head that contained the mouth, uh, that looked like a peak. Suvrutta Damstra. His teeth were perfectly arranged in nice shapes. Charu Chalacharu Kundalam. And when his head was there, the earrings would shake, and very beautiful earrings. Chakarta Rakshodhipate Shirastada. Chakarta cut off Rakshasa Adhipa, the leader of the Rakshasas, Shirahas Tada, Yatheva Vritrasya Pura Purandaraha. Previously, like Indra had cut off Vritrasura's head. This big head adorned with earrings, kirita, just fell on the ground. Hmm. Um, and when it fell, that head, when it fell, there were many buildings on the main highway of Lanka city. It fell and crushed many, many buildings and their gates, and even crushed the entire defensive wall of Lanka. Remember, there's a wall that you could not scale up. Kumbhakarna had walked right over it, but that wall got shattered. And that head rolled and fell into the sea. And when it fell into the sea, under its weight, it crushed alligators and big, mighty fish, aquatic serpents, and entered to the lowest point in earth. This Kumbhakarna, who was the enemy of Brahmanas and Devatas, who was endowed with great might, now when he became killed in combat, the entire earth and mountains shook. And the gods, devatas, raised a great shout of joy. They're all in the sky watching this fight. They're all so thrilled because this was their desire. Oh, Rama, please appear on this earth and kill Ravana and his clan. And he had made that promise. So this is the promise has almost been completed because Ravana has not been killed yet. All the rishis, the nagas, the suparnas, right, the category of birds of whom Garuda is the main, guhyakas, yakshas, gandharvas, they were all in the air loudly praharshita Rama parakramena. They became so happy and joyful at Ramachandra's mighty act of chivalry. The Rakshasas, when they saw Ramachandra's might, now Ramachandra is a human, I mean, showing like this in comparison to Kumbhakarna, a human being, and that too, young human being that they could have eaten for breakfast is what they thought. And when Ramachandra killed Kumbhakarna, they became so pained in their heart that they cried out loudly like elephants would cry when they see a lion. Now Ramachandra is standing there, shining brilliantly in the middle of all the Vanaras. Just Ramachandra looked like the sun that has been released by Rahu. Earlier it was he was coming to grab the full moon. Here is the sun after the solar eclipse when Rahu releases the sun. Suddenly from darkness, the entire place begins to be shining brightly. Last year we had the solar eclipse, and where we were sitting in Cleveland, we could see the full solar eclipse. And for about 1.5 minutes, because we are in the downtown area, the entire city area where we were became dark like 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night. Street lights were turned on. People who were driving had their headlights on their cars for 1.5 minutes. And then suddenly the sun was shining so brightly because it was 2:30 in the afternoon or something, or something, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. It was bright as if, and that is the visual that as Rahu releases the sun after the eclipse. The Vanaras became so happy that their faces started to look like blossomed lotuses. They were enjoying in their heart a great joy, and they were praising Sri Ramachandra, who finally had achieved the desired result of killing Kumbhakarna. They all became very, very happy, just the way that the Devatas became happy after the killing of Vritrasura. Sa Kumbhakarnam Surasainyam Ardanam. Surasainyam Surasainyam Mardanam. That Kumbhakarna would crush the entire army of the Devatas. Mahatsu Yuddheshu Kadachana Ajitam. Kadachana Ajitam. In hundreds of great wars, Mahatsu Yuddheshu, in many, many mighty wars, never had a defeat. Sacha Kumbhakarna Nananda Hatva Bharatagrajorane Mahasuram with Vritram Eva Amaradhipaha. They became rejoiced just as when they did when Vritrasura was killed by Indra. Nananda became completely joyed at heart. So, with that, this chapter 67, comes to an end, and Kumbhakarna has been killed. So, let's see if there are any thoughts, questions, comments, reflections. What a lovely description, no? By Valmiki. He's giving us pictures to visualize in the mind's eye. Okay, thoughts, questions? Are all of you sad that Kumbhakarna died? All right, looks like nothing today. Thank you for being here. So the next 2 weeks, I doubt if, not I doubt, we will not be having our discussions. I'll be traveling. The earliest possibility, excuse me, will be October 25th, that Saturday. Like it's either October 25th or October 26th. Until then, you can meditate on Ramayana, the glorious activities of Hanuman, Sri Rama, Lakshmana, and all of their associates. And if you are in Sri Lanka, we'll meet you there. Okay. Sham Vallavi has a question. Go ahead, Sham Vallavi.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu Dandaprana.
Yes, Sham Vallavi.
Can you hear me, Prabhu?
I can hear you.
Yeah. Prabhu, my question was like, they say that Rama's arrow is so powerful, only one bana, like there is a saying in Telugu, Oka banam, oka patni, oke mata, something like that.
Hmm.
But here we see Kumbhakarna, for killing Kumbhakarna, he was using so many arrows. How to understand this, Prabhu? And one more thing, like we heard the story of Narada Muni telling a hunter that if you are killing something, kill it at once. Why you are you killing half the way and seeing them suffer? But here also Ramachandra was cutting his hands one time, legs one time, chopping off his nose, ears, something like that. Why can't he just directly using one arrow shoot him at once so that oh, I hope you understood my question, Prabhu.
Understood. So there are two ways to see it. One, the Valmiki gave us that shloka already because we may have such doubts that one arrow that had cut through sala trees, killed Vali, did not even cause pain for Kumbhakarna. So the way we understand Rama's greatness is by the greatness of the villain Kumbhakarna. Who is Kumbhakarna? So by this explanation, ideally, the conclusion we should have come at is how great is Sri Ramachandra, because Kumbhakarna is such a mighty villain. In a movie, because we can relate to movies. In a movie, there are the smaller demons or villains that are easily hit by the hero. But the hero, whenever he meets the final villain, it is never just easy, goes in, shoots or fights and finishes. The hero also finds it very difficult to kill such a villain. So that idea is to show us how the movie does well. The story becomes enthralling when the villain is difficult to overcome. That is when the heroism actually shines even better. So in this case, Ramachandra shot an arrow, the same arrow that killed Vali. Nothing happened to him. So he cut off his arm because he was causing so much damage. Why? So Ramachandra is making him weaker and weaker so he can kill him. So there are ways of it. Even later, Ravana is going to come into the. Indrajit has even come yet. Ravana is going to come in. Indrajit will come. We will see how mighty these people are. Yes, Ramabana only one is required, but the whole Veera Rasa has to, the heroic uh, rasa has to churn in a reader's heart. Otherwise, imagine the story. Ramachandra saw Kumbhakarna, mounted one arrow, hit him with one shot, Kumbhakarna died. There is no thrill. The reason Ramachandra's war scene has so much thrill is because of the what's going on. When Vibhishana was on the other side of the ocean, and Sugriva had told, which we will hear in our narration in the Yatra with musical, Sugriva says, we cannot trust Vibhishana. So Ramachandra says, oh Sugriva, what are you worried about? I can kill the entire universe with the tip of my finger, Angulya Graineva. I will kill everybody, nothing to worry. And if then he didn't even have to cross the ocean. He could have, Ramachandra could have released an arrow from Kishkinda and finished everybody. But then there is no, how do you enjoy the exploit of his power? Is the Leela has to have the joy. Ramachandra and Krishna, they bring joy by their activity because the Devatas had asked, we want to see your strength in a battle with Ravana. Then he has to fight, no? And fighting also teaches us that you can't be overconfident on your strength. Now, not that Ramachandra is overconfident or anything. There are tattva lessons as well in life that sometimes the Rakshasas become stronger, sometimes the Vanaras become stronger. That's the battle of life. And here, Kumbhakarna was a mighty, mighty problem. One lesson we could get is you break down the problem into smaller parts and you deal with the smaller parts, because problems look very big and people become overwhelmed. How am I going to fight this problem in my life? Is so big. But you have to think about smaller pieces that you can take care of. Okay, can I solve this part? Can I solve that part? And over time, that problem becomes weaker. So there is so much wrapped up and packed. There is no fun in a storyline if it's just one shot, finished and gone. But sometimes there is meaning for that. First, we had to see, Sugriva had to see how strong Ramachandra is. So Vali got killed in one arrow. So you can't just take in a very straight jacketed way. There is a variety and thrill in the pastime. Hopefully, you were thrilled. Mhm. All right, Shambalavi. There you go. Thank you for the thumbs up.
Thank you, bro. Nice. Yes, Prabhu. Whatever said has
Yeah, so much excitement.
cleared my doubts.
In fact, Ramachandra doesn't even have to appear as Ramachandra. From his abode, he can say, Ravana finished, and Ravana can die. One shot. Same, Narsingadev doesn't have to appear for Hiranyakashipu and do all this fighting. Just, he can just say, Hiranyakashipu is dead. And it'll happen. All right, Madhavi Sundari, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Actually, today in the class, very nice class for first. So when Kumbhakarna is in anger, he is killing Vanaras and Rakshasas, not able to discriminate his own people also like that. So in our practical life, when we are getting angry with someone, so we are not able to see, to show anger, even though those who are helping us, we are getting angry, like not able to see, oh, how much they did for us. So why that anger is coming, and if it is coming, then what I need to do in that situation?
Why is anger coming? I don't know why is anger coming. Anger comes for no reason. It comes from unfulfilled expectations. It comes from feeling whatever. There are different reasons why anger comes. Krishna says, Kama esha, Krodha esha, Rajoguna samudbhava. Kama and Krodha always are together. So when Krodha is there, that means some Kama did not get satisfied. And the anger is such that people who are close to us, around us, also become victims of our anger. So, in English, there's a saying, kicking the proverbial dog. So, the story is a man or anybody in the office gets yelled at by the boss, and he can't say anything to the boss. In his heart is feeling severe anger and frustration, and he comes out, and the dog is there in the house. So who does it take it out on? The dog. The dog is happy to see him, wag his tail, lick his face, but he will kick that same dog. So I may be angry about something there, but with people around me I become so irritable. I say things, I become angry. It's the same anger that flows. Then I don't see that these are not enemies, these are my friends, my family, people close to me. It spills over, it has that effect. So why anger happens? Karma, some desire, some expectation has not been addressed, fulfilled. In a more softer way, it means a person is not feeling love at that point. Therefore anger comes. Anger is a cry for love, but it shows up, and when it shows up, people around us, even our well wishers, will be victims of it, because it's hard to curb and say I'm angry at that person, not you. Only later when the person will say, why are you yelling at me? Oh, it's not at you. But it has a tendency to spill. How to overcome anger? I don't know. Uh, I haven't solved that problem for myself. But theoretically, it's the karma that needs to be addressed. And it's a very general answer. It depends on very specific. Each person gets angry for a certain thing. So to know what is the cause is the most important. In our marketing world, we are told, if you can identify the problem correctly, then 50% of the solution's already taken care of. The other 50 is to solve it. But to find the problem, what exactly is the problem, is a hard one. So, as devotees, we are encouraged to be thoughtful, introspective, so we can know what is the cause of my anger, my distress, my sadness, and we address it accordingly. Okay?
Yes, Prabhu, thank
Other
you so
than that, I
much.
don't have a magic bullet or a magic pill. No shortcut to working on oneself.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, sounds like we've 9:36. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ji ki jai. Wonderful Ramachandra has finished off Kumbhakarna. Two more rascals remaining. One Indrajit, one Ravana. And as the storyline progresses, we will see what happens.